Hello, my name is Shirley Self, and I'm here to talk astrology. Tonight I want to talk about the US of A and Neptune. We're getting ready to have a Neptune opposition Neptune. About the same time we're having a Pluto conjunct Pluto. And right now we have Uranus on the bendings of the nodes. So it's important times. It's important times, full of change. And trust me, all these outer planets are going to bring change. That's their business. It's just they govern the times we live in and the things we have to deal with worldwide, you know. And so we're having the Neptune. Here's the US of A, and we're having a Neptune down here. Well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Maybe we ought to explore a little bit about Neptune. Here's a picture. This is the NCGR journal, and it's a picture of Neptune. Isn't that beautiful? I think she is so beautiful. Our mother, Neptune, she's the other half of the Big Bang. Pluto's the bang, and Neptune's what did it? What that fluidic matter that grew and grew and solidified and became us and everything else. We're all made of Neptune. We all live in Neptune. So our Neptune sucks. It's in its fall. It's intercepted, and it's actually in its detriment. It rules Pisces, so Pisces is its rulership, and it is in Pisces now, and be grateful for that, because that's making up this realization that is coming with Neptune, opposite Neptune. Neptune is, if you realize, if you've been following the newest research on holograms and how we broadcast our reality around us, each of us has a horoscope, and these energies, the way these energies are coordinating and working at the time, and what's emphasized and all that, all that is broadcast through us, and it creates our world. We are the center of each of us a center of our own world. And the world accommodates itself to us. How? I don't know. It's a dance of the demons, is what Yeats said. So, and there's not much we can do about it except to react to it as best we can and to maintain our integrity as best we can, because we must meet our karma. And that is what we are doing right now, because of this Neptune opposition. So let's talk about the US of A a little bit. This is US of A. We're this heavy Cancer stellium over there, 4 planets in Cancer over there on the house of being helpful and feeding other people. It runs into the 8th house, which is other people's substance. And so it's, and we have taken in, we are immigrants, we are all this, we are all foreigners here. Even the Native Americans came sometime and eliminated all the large animals like the mammoth and stuff. Humans change things. So here we are, this beautiful stellium, and we've got this Saturn that's squaring our sun, stubborn rulers up here. Saturn rules that 10th house, and it's exalted in Libra. Understand, exaltations aren't near as handy as rulerships. They're pretty much a lot of show. And so we got a lot of show up here, and it is running in counter to the will of this country, that will being the sun in Cancer, and because we're a caring nation, and that's what a sun in Cancer is committed to. To feeding people. Notice it's in the 7th, going on 8th house, and so it's committed, and it's incredibly capable. Look at the Jupiter-Venus conjunction there in Cancer, and it is ruled by our emotional nature, which is unfortunately in Aquarius. Understand, I'm biased against Aquarius because I are one, and had a mother who was at Moon in Aquarius, and Moon in Aquarius is terribly uncommitted, and these planets want you to commit, but emotionally, we're busy making ourselves at home. We're all strangers here. Moon in Aquarius is especially that one, because of it has no good aspects to it. It has one excellent aspect. It has a 52 degrees, a septile aspect to Chiron. And Chiron is our wounding. Chiron's where we make it happen, because that's where you go. You go to the wound, which is kind of a 6th house issue. That 6th house has to do with self-mastery, for instance. If you attack that wound, whatever you've got at the 6th house, that weakness, you master yourself, because it demands the most of you. So we're a moon phase 18. Let me talk about 18 for a minute here. I'll show you 18. It's a really important phase. I'm going to adjust you a bit. 18, here we go. 18, right up here. Notice that it's the Pisces decadent of Scorpio. And Scorpio is cool. Scorpio is where it's self-realization. You know, that's what happens when you have good sex. That's why sex is up here. Is that good sex, ecstatic sex is self-realization. It's also when you wake up, you know you really have missed that class. That too, that pit of the stomach's feeling, that too is self-realization. Not near so fine, but still worthy. Okay, we're up here in self-realization. This is a phase that cannot be skipped. It's an initiation phase. And this initiation, this gradual abandonment of the past is necessary up there at any initiation. These two are initiation phase. These two are initiation phases. And this is a wisdom phase, and it's a creative genius of moon phase 18. It has the hunchback over here is its body of fate. Understand that anything you don't do at 18 will be paid for at 26, because as 25, let's talk about this. It's 25 is the ultimate power that you have developed. 26 is the ultimate weakness. So that's our body of fate, and that issue will come up when I'm talking about the Neptune opposition we're experiencing. So, and over here is its the way you do it, and the way you do it is at 4. It's the mask, and the mask is the means by which you accomplish whatever it is you're going after. So over here at the mask, we have a wisdom phase, and it is the abandonment of the way it used to be done, the way you were actually taught to do it. It's a deliberate abandonment so that you might explore new ways of being. So these are really important phases. This is a mandatory phase, as is this one. They are phases of crisis, as these are phases of initiation. So notice it's an awful lot of, you've got Leo involved, the Aries, a new beginning. So that too is an abandonment of the past. This is an abandonment, and this is a recognition. And so we are at that recognition right now. Let me show you a wonderful thing. Neptune is being highlighted right now, and through 1920 or 2020, especially 2022 and 23, this will be fairly solid. Neptune is moving through the United States body of fate, as it is opposing the creative genius. Now, the creative genius is there to free you from your body of fate. The body of fate is your karma. It's what you've earned. It's what you neglected or did too much of. And understand, you can't help it. I mean, this what we're doing is difficult. And you make mistakes. And you have to pay for them. And so the body of fate is here. And that is what we're doing right now. We're looking at our karma. Oh my God, look what we've done. We've taken the tops off mountains, and we've sucked the deep waters dry, and we've polluted the ocean, and we're looking at all that. It's very important because Neptune, and Neptune is in Pisces. Pisces is ocean, and Neptune is that fluidity that is best symbolized by ocean. Let me have a sip of water here. So, the issue for a moon phase 18 is it's got to leave the past. It's an initiation phase. And the past for governments has been a strong man gains power and it accumulates power and wealth by conquering others. And that's been the ideal. And that's what we have to abandon. We have to abandon empire. We have to abandon those old ideals, and that old ideals are really expressed right here by this Jupiter-Venus conjunction. It has no aspects. It's free to be whatever it's feeling like right now. And that Jupiter is, I will only be secure when I am king. So it's every man a king, every girl a princess. And we have to abandon that and to actually lean it a little bit into the Cancer realm of commitment, and commitment to her, commitment to others. Kind of an aggressive commitment. This Mars has been our nemesis all along. Notice the Neptune has got this trine to the corporate powers that be in our second house of money and jewels and oil, and right now they're starting to buy up our water, and so they're polluting the our riches, and they're in control of this Neptune. This Neptune's up there and it is intercepted. It's our creative genius. At least the creative genius itself is, the heart of it is 25 degrees. That creative genius, and intercepted means that you have trouble getting to it. It's, I've known people with intercepted Sun or Mars, and it's very difficult for them to access that, to give it a public use. And so we're going to have to crash in there. We're going to have to storm in with our pitchforks and take over this Neptune in Virgo. Virgo's really cool. It rules the zodiac at the 6th house. It rules that 6th house of what you have to work on. If you're going to if this is going to work, that 6th house has to function. If this whole thing is going to work, you have, because that's where you're weakest. That 6th house, 6th and 12th. This is where you don't know. This is when you notice this weakness. So what we're going to have to do in our we're in that initiation right now. That's what Neptune is doing, opposing this hidden Neptune. This one also is intercepted. You get one over here and intercepted, you have to have one over here intercepted, and that means they're just hard to get to, hard to utilize. They're more something you do at 3 a.m. It's so we're, like I say, we're going to have to break in and do that. And what has happened lately is Virgo rules unions, and that's what we want to have. This Neptune, it's interesting, that is our creative genius, and it is in Virgo, bless its heart, and it rules democracy. And we've got a very specific democracy. We've got an ideal. Neptune rules all the ideals. So Neptune is virtually the key in the beginning. This was all imagined. This was all Sophia reflected God's intent back to him so that he could make judgments, and this was invented. Neptune is the great inventor. You think that's Uranus. Well, Uranus makes it happen. It's the one that draws the plans. Neptune's the idea. So, and Uranus has to carve that idea down a lot. Usually, you know, it can't be every color. Neptune's every color. And it's got to be blue. Or anyway, that's the function of Uranus. When Neptune starts at the top, Neptune and Pluto, and they come down into Uranus and Saturn. And Saturn's your limitations. Oh, and Saturn has been limiting us lately. Saturn's been opposing our Sun. It's going to be opposing our Mercury. And we've already got a square to it, and that square means that our government, this Saturn, which actually rules this Capricorn house, and therefore, because Saturn rules Capricorn, it rules this Pluto. It's in charge of these big businesses that are taking the tops off of our mountains. And I don't know, are we being forced to buy crap? It's in charge of propaganda. That's a great Neptune up there. It's great for propaganda. It's being utilized by these people who want us to believe a certain thing. And mostly, look at what the propaganda is focused at. It's focused out at others. We're going to focus our energy out at others, because so that we don't focus our energy over here where we really, what we really ought to do. This Mercury over here opposes this Pluto. That's our Mercury. That's our desire to know, and it's a deep desire to know, because it's got Pluto over there. If you've got a Mercury-Pluto angle at all, there's this deep desire to know, and you dig until you do know. And so that's what we have to do. We just have to get energized. Notice the moon here rules this incredible commitment to what? To what? What does Cancer want? The security. Something we don't have. Something we're fighting about now. We've got all this opposition. Saturn, Pluto has been opposing all these Cancer planets, the South Node. So we've got the North Node running over here. North Node right now is about 16. It's right here. And so it's talking about the money issues. Anytime you get over in here, you talk about money issues, mostly debt and other people money issues. So where was I going? Oh, yeah. We need to know. We need to do our own digging. There's too much of this going on. Emotional chatter. Emotional gossip. It's third house. You get a moon in the third house, you've got gossip. And it's Aquarian. It's cruel. It's one thing I've noticed about Aquarian being one. There's a tendency to simply be cruel. Because you can. Because the plain and simple truth is often a very, very cruel thing. And Aquarius delights in that. So anyway, so we've got a moon in Aquarius. So we're cruel to each other. The only aspect we've got going, this is this inconjunct, this I don't know how to be tender. This is Mercury is in Cancer. And so the way we really want to communicate to each other is deeply. It's in the 8th house. So we really want to communicate a deep truth. We really want to let other people know who we are and what we need. And to make that deep connection would make us feel incredibly secure. But the moon over here is uncommitted. And this is the sign of commitment. Commitment to, basically, commitment to yourself. And it's interesting because moon phase 18 is got to separate from the past. It's got to, even though every man a king and every girl a princess is such a lovely idea, it cannot be reality because it's killing the earth. And if it kills the earth, it will kill us. Are we worth saving? Are we worth going out of our way for? I think so. And I think we're going to do it too. We've already got Chirons moving through Aries here. We're getting ready to have a Chiron return. And let me tell you, from my only Chiron return I had, it was a terrible shock. It was a oh my God time that lasted for quite a while. And prepared me for a Saturn return that wasn't any big deal because I'd already dealt with it virtually in the Chiron return. And we're getting ready for a Chiron return. We've got Uranus right now is on the bendings. And the bendings are really interesting. You know, the nodes of the moon. The moon goes up into 26, 27 degrees and down the same, and up and down. And as it's coming up and crossing the equator, meridian, whatever, path of the sun. As it's crossing the path of the sun, that spot is the north node. As it's going down, that spot is the south node. And the Uranus is sitting right on the bendings, meaning that it's in the same degree as these nodes, and it is square to them. So it's it's important. What Uranus is telling us right now is change your values. And if you change your values, notice that values there, Taurus, is on the cusp of the 6th house, which means that you have to change you actually have to do the deed. You have to walk the walk. It's the Tower card. So So we're getting ready to have this Neptune opposition. And so what do we have? It's a discovery. It's just like my my reality looks at your reality and says, what the hell is going on? It's a shock to the system, because both realities are yours, your very own, and ours. Our reality is that we have an image of our own, ourselves, not only as cowboys, but gunfighters. It's at Pluto. At Pluto's, it's 4 minutes from being exact, not 4 degrees. And it's called partile. That means it's hooked, man, hooked. So what we deal with a lot there, because so much of the control of this government is what big business wants, big business gets. And the propaganda is all to aim us out to other people, mostly, well, not mostly, but partly because they need to, I don't know what they need. Big need always needs more. That's the past that we have to leave behind. That big always needs more. If we've got to live up to our Neptune, this opposition we've got going on. This one's square that Mars, and so we're starting to realize what we've been doing to the world, which is lying to the people of the country, and fighting our wars in foreign places where big business has an interest. We don't. We have an interest in being friends to those people because they usually make beautiful carpets, etc. And the food. Oh my God. Anyway, that's who we are. We're the golden door over there. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. I'm sorry, I can't go on. I get really emotional about that. My horoscope is hooked up very, very closely in this United States, so I feel strongly about my country. I am a patriot. I love us. And that's gonna brings to mind a quote from William Butler Yeats from one of his poems. We have fed the heart on fantasies, and the hearts grow bitter from the fare. There's more substance in our enmities than in our love. And we're there. And we're realizing that. We're knowing that. The North Node, which is, if you want to survive, you go to the North Node and do whatever it tells you to do. The North Node's traveling over here, and it's going to be hitting the sun, sorry. It's going to be hitting the sun soon. It's right now, I think it's about 16. It'll be hitting the sun, and the North Node will be, for us, virtually, what does the sun have to say? A sun has to say, wake up. Wake up. Experience its information, and it grows your brain. It grows your understanding. It grows your capacity to live this life and to be of use. Which is another thing about this Neptune up here, is wants to be of use. And Neptune of Virgo. Notice that it is the elevated planet in this horoscope of the United States. So this Neptune down here says, look what you've done, what you've been doing. Look what you've been doing. And it just, that's part of that awakening that's happening to the United States as, well, not only Saturn. Saturn somehow always makes us pay attention to reality. And so Saturn moving opposites our stellium in Cancer. It tells us exactly how we have not taken care of, not committed, not done right by. Virtually, we are an amalgam of the world. We are an amalgam. Mercury rules. Mercury, I'm sorry. Neptune here rules amalgams, and we are an amalgam of the world. And so, in a way, we are responsible, obliged to be what the world wishes we were and what we think we are. An inspiration and a healing influence, giving, healing, little more than Doctors Without Borders, a lot more than Doctors Without Borders. We virtually could solve this problem that the world is having now. We have the capacity to do that. And I do think that we have the will. The North Node is running through Cancer right now. The North Node saying, here's the way out, here's the way out. Oh, yes, it's expensive. It will cost us sacrifice. That's another wonderful Neptune word. Sacrifice. Sacrifice by, you know, all virtually doing our share. Virgo rules unions. And it's interesting that Neptune kind of rules unions too. Venus rules unions, people getting together to do something. And all of them are talking about, you know, we had the I can't remember exactly where Neptune was, over in here somewhere, where the unions, it could have been the square, that the unions were formed. And we need to realize the unions, if it isn't for the unions, you know, we've got a capitalist economy. The problem with capitalism is it's way too easily perverted by people who have more money than others. Because the people who have more money than others can pervert the capitalistic system to make sure that they continue to get more money and more money and more money. Because capitalism is all about growth. And the only way capitalism can hope to offer the people any security at all, and I use that word very lightly, the only way it can do that is by constant growth. Because, and you've noticed, I'm sure, that every time we have a recession, the people at the bottom do not prosper, the people at the top do. So that's what's happening with us. We're going through a lot of changes, realizing a lot of things. And isn't it? It's interesting. Down here in the House of Communication, we have Neptune right now. Neptune is moving in opposition to, well, it's moving in trying to these Cancer planets. And it's having so much fun. But like I say, we have to recognize our cruelty. The Mars square the Neptune. The Neptune is compassion. Compassion, forgiveness, which brings up the woundedness, the Chiron down there in the 4th house. 4th house is, you know, it's your nitty-gritty. It's your home, your land, your home. And our wound is to the people, the original people, Aries, that were in our home. And this Mars in Gemini square this compassionate Neptune also rules the house of slavery over here. And so we've incredible guilt, incredible guilt. This is an inconjunct between this wound and the Neptune, and this is a square between this wounding Mars and Gemini. Mars in Gemini is a mentally, verbally aggressive. It can be quite abusive. It's and it's got the well, Mars has this image, and the world has given it. Well, we've given it. The world gave us the image of the cowboy, and we took that image and gave us the gunfighter image. Well, the NRA actually did that, but John Wayne helped. So we've got that image that needs transformed into something useful. That Mars has got to do the Neptune's bidding. The Neptune's been doing the Mars's bidding. Neptune's been saying, yes, you should be a gunfighter. And so we send our gunfighters all over the world. And now, because our Mars is retrograde. It has been for some time. Our Mars is retrograde, so we no longer win our wars, and our wars have come home to us. The Mars is now turned inward. That's what happens when things are retrograde. Now, this Neptune up here is going to come across opposite that Neptune, and then it's going to retrograde opposite that Neptune, and then it's going to go forward opposite that Neptune all through 22 and 23. Well, and 21. I think it starts in 21. So, realization and understanding of our obligations. Neptune has to do with, well, it does. It has to do with guilt and our obligations because of karma. And I think our obligations because when we're one with each other. You know, I studied anthropology, and the thing that impressed me so much about tribal societies was the ones that functioned, really cared about each other. When one family ate, everybody ate. When they were all hungry, they were all hungry. There were no special people, and homosexual people had their own role in the world. I was real impressed with tribal societies. Like I say, the ones that worked. There were those that did not work, that have fought themselves into paranoia and had locked themselves down into virtual hell. So that too is possible. I don't think it will happen with this our United States. The initiation phase happens whether we want it to or not. I mean, if we want to survive, and trust me, survival is the basic issue. Covers the base chakra. Survival. Oh, I was going to talk about this Chiron. We're getting ready to have our Chiron return. I do not know when that is. Chiron moves slow, and it's only in the early Aries. Chiron's right down here. So we see the wounding. Chiron is the wounding. Understand, it does not do the wounding. That would be Mars and Pluto and Saturn, the malefics. Chiron only shows you where you're wounded. So it can show you where the door to repairing the wound. Well, the door to your adventure in life. The door to virtually your path. The path of the hero is through the door of Chiron. And so we're getting ready to have our Chiron return. And I think the killing off of the Native Americans, a lot of it was inadvertent. I'm not too sure about that, but I just finished reading the wonderful book, Germs, Guns, and Steel. Germs, Steel, and I forget. Anyway, it was wonderful. I'm concentrating now on the germs, Neptune. So one of the things about the square here is a vulnerability. Here we have this vulnerability to propaganda. Here we can have this vulnerability, because look what it encompasses, to illness, to illness. So that is one thing we have to watch out for. I think whatever happens in the outer planets, parking on our important powers, is I'm hoping, and I'm praying, and I'm actually hoping, I'm fairly confident, that the North Node running through here and the realizations running through here will cause us to do the right thing. And the right thing will be to renew the land, the people. There's been much talk about reparations, which is also Neptune. The people we have wounded, the black people, the brown people, you name them, because that's what governments are used to doing, is running over peoples, stealing their stuff, and growing larger and larger in territory and riches. That is tradition. Tradition. Saturn, Capricorn. Tradition. And so one thing we see is what we have to deal with. One thing we realize is what we've done. And reparations, how do you make reparations? I think the reparations are, in each person's heart. Look at yourself. Where do I fear? Fear, I do believe, is the basis of all hatred, envy, etc. Fear is the basis of all negative emotion. Fear. And fear causes hardenings and breakages in our nervous systems and the functioning of our bodies. Fear. It causes us to constrict. Fear. It causes us to hate. It causes us to feel that we don't have enough. That's one of the problems with this Pluto Capricorn. Capricorn ruling the second house, you're just going to feel like you don't have enough. Sorry. So just don't have enough. I understand it's opposite the Cancer, which is comfort. I am comfortable. I am comfortable with myself. That would be a Cancerian affirmation. So that's one of the things that notice that this Mercury-Pluto opposition happens in the 8th and the 2nd house. It's a house of values and valuables, house of other people's stuff and debt. And notice that when the North Node was moving across here, it was just saying, be careful of debt, be careful of debt, be careful of debt. And now the North Node is right here. Okay. I do believe it will be demanded of us because of the outer planets, where the outer planets are. Demanded of us that we embrace the world, that we offer our intellect, what we know, and how to do things. Offer that to the world. Understand that Uranus over there allows us to project our craziness onto other people in the world. We fear, this is this Mercury-Pluto opposition here, we suspect, and that comes out here in projection. Other people are absolutely out of their mind and gone out to get us. Out to get us. And so this country, the way it's set up now, we need enemies. Why? It will divert us from what's going on here. So, Neptune, let me see if I have anything else I wanted to say. The creative genius is this Neptune here pretty much is right on that creative genius. The creative genius is a seeker, a searcher. He is an adventurer, and he works from the heart. And I think that's what is being asked of us here with this North Node in Leo, is to work from the heart. We have the North Node, we have the Leo here in the 8th and on the 9th house cusp. 9th house cusp is our belief system. And the 8th house here, you know, is other people's stuff, our debts, and what we need to virtually reclaim, reinvent, learn how to. It's energy there that we have always misused, not just randomly, but negatively misused, and it is a 8th house. That is the key usually to you discovering who you are, like good sex, knowing who you are. Good sex is good for you. So that's here. Not only we have a lot of pornography, but we've got this house of religion. I was just thinking of the love here on the house of religion. So love is there, but Virgo is intercepted in here. So in here, buried in our spiritual attitudes and our spiritual organizations, is a Virgo. A criticism of others, a division because of this little detail or that little detail or the other little detail. So you don't have the unity. It's fractured. It's fractured. That's another thing this Mars means here. Is this unity or is fractured? And Virgo up there will give us nuts, fanatics, a weird, odd, you know, a lot of Virgo stuff, odd religious cults, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So, the Neptune down here is going to expose a lot of this, a lot of what's going on, you know, here in secret. It's intercepted here in secret. It's going to be, and understand that this is intercepted too. But this Neptune, or this Mars, excuse me, Mars has a way into both of them. So there is hope for us to actually be Snoopy. Mars, do the Mars and Gemini thing. Ask, find out. Because it's square here, I don't think you can just Google it. I think you have to find out how get a book. So, what else did I have to say? I'm actually pretty excited about the Neptune opposition. Neptune was on our north node when we had prohibition, and the sun was on the south node. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So Neptune is forgiveness, and I do think that that's going to be a part of that Chiron, that healing that's got to start here. Forgiveness. How do we do that? How do we do that? I think we each have to do that. How do we govern ourselves? This, I think, gives people personal responsibility. Personal responsibility. I think it's the 6th house issue up there in the 9th house. The Constitution asks you, this, ideal we have, asks you to take personal responsibility. Saturn over here is virtually you have to take personal responsibility. If you don't, the Saturn can stop you in your tracks. It's a demand for personal responsibility. See, we've got this Saturn square here, and the government, Saturn here, does not respond to the people, to the best interests of the people, or the people's will. That's the sun. So, like I say, I have great hope because that we will deal with these issues. I mean, we are capable, so capable. It's exciting. I wish it wasn't so hard, but it is very exciting what we can do as a people. As a people, you and me, and coming together, we can do it. Well, I wish you the best, and happy fall. Bye-bye.